I personally have also dealt with two covert narcissists, and I am on a mission to help you break free from the drama, trauma, and chaos of dealing with narcissists. I know what it looks like when they're trying to break you down because I've been there. I've seen it in my law practice. I've seen it in dealing with now thousands of people who've come through my programs. And I've also dealt with it in my personal life. I know what they're trying to do when they're trying to break you. So one of the things that they will do is they will like take these like passing swipes at you. So, especially the covert narcissists, they are kings and queens of these like passing little swipes. So, these are like when the narcissists aren't actually out to tell the world that they're trying to break you down. They're just trying to like dent you. It's kind of like death by a thousand cuts. Covert narcissists are so stealth. They don't want anybody to know. So it's like, I call it clean hands. Okay. They kind of try to keep their hands clean, their nose clean. They don't want anyone to know what they're up to. Their clothes are clean. Everything is not wrinkled. But right underneath the surface, they're doing this dirty work. Everybody else thinks that they are wonderful. They're kind. They are, so many people go, well, they couldn't be a narcissist. They are pastors. They are charitable people. They're out there doing Habitat for Humanity every single weekend. They're organizing fundraisers. They work at the hospital. They're the first people that show up when somebody is sick. They are wonderful people. They're not a narcissist. Or this person is an older woman who is kind and bakes cookies. This is not a narcissist. This is the kind of person who just underneath the surface has this boiling sort of rage, this jealousy or competition or deep insecurity or something going on with them that has them take these sort of passing swipes at people that just under the surface you don't realize what's going on. So they might say things like, oh, that's so wonderful that you got to purchase a new home. Oh, but too bad it's at the end of a street where there's no street lights and you're so far away from everything else and there's no security. I mean, wouldn't you be afraid? And I would be afraid out there by myself like that. But to each their own. Like it's sort of like a compliment but not really. It's like these passing swipes. Or I had a client who said that she got back together with her husband, and her husband was like all gung ho with marriage counseling, work on their marriage, and he was going to be the perfect husband, and he loved her, and he was working on everything. And just a couple of months into it, they were getting ready to go out, and just out of nowhere, he, under his breath, said something like, "Mm, lipstick." Nothing else, just said lipstick under his breath. That's a passing swipe. And she was like, What did you say? And he said, no, I didn't say anything. And the implication, she knew. She knew what he meant by lipstick. It was meant to tell her that she looked like a slut, that she looked a hussy because it was this red lipstick or whatever it was. And all he said was lipstick. And so there's this clean hands effect, right? Because if she told anybody about it, he could say, "Oh, I was saying I liked her lipstick. I was saying it looked nice on her. What is she talking about? I was actually complimenting her and saying how great she looked." No one would be able to know. There's no other context there. So that's what I mean. Passing swipes. 6 signs a narcissist is trying to break you. That's number one. Number two is gaslighting. Passing swipes is a form of gaslighting, but this is another whole level. They use gaslighting. So, I could actually sit here and spend the next 2 days basically on all the different forms of gaslighting that there are and how narcissists use gaslighting in all the different varieties and forms. And there could be whole connoisseurs of gaslighting and vintners of wine on gaslighting. I mean, there could be a whole school of gaslighting, but we're not going to do that. I'm just going to say that gaslighting is a way that narcissists use to make you think that you're crazy. And if I explain to you where the term came from, it makes it really, really easy for you to understand. Basically, it came from a play called Gaslight, which is also the name of a movie from the same genre period. It was back in the 30s, which was where a husband was trying to make the wife think that she was crazy. And what he would do is blow out these gas lights. And she would say, "Wasn't that just lit?" And he would say, "No, no, it wasn't." And it made her question her own mind. Wait a minute, I'm pretty sure that was just lit. No, 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 sorry, wasn't lit. So gaslighting is the same thing. It's like trying to make you think that you're crazy. Things that you are seeing, you're not seeing. Things that you're hearing, you're not hearing. You see a text message that says, "Miss you," with hearts from a person, and you're assuming that there's something going on with somebody, and they say, "Oh, you're reading too much into it," that sort of thing. The person says, "Oh, you have a big fat butt." And then they say, "Ha ha." And you say, "That really hurt my feelings." And they say, "Oh, you're too sensitive." They're invalidating your feelings. That's gaslighting. "Oh, I'm going away on the weekend of our anniversary." "Oh, when did you decide you're doing that?" "Oh, we had a whole conversation about that. Don't you remember?" "Oh, we never had that conversation." "Oh, well, yeah, we definitely did, and you agreed to it." "Oh, I definitely don't remember ever having that conversation." "Oh, yeah, we had a whole conversation about it, and you agreed." "Well, we never had that conversation." That's all gaslighting. All of that is a form of gaslighting. There's so many different forms of gaslighting, but all of them boil down to trying to make you think that you're crazy. Okay. Thing you just need to remember about gaslighting is if you saw it with your eyes, if you heard it with your ears, if all of those things, then it happened and your feelings matter. There's that. Number three is passive aggression. Another way a narcissist tries to break you is through passive aggression. "Absolutely, I will do it." And then they don't. That's a passive aggressive move. Covert narcissists are so great at this. It's one of their classic moves. Being passive aggressive is a very narcissistic move. Number four is silent treatment. They will blow up your phone. "Oh, I love you, I love you, I love you." You write them back. "Oh, nothing." And then you're like, "Hey, where are you?" "Oh, why are you so needy?" That's a form of silent treatment. Or another form of silent treatment that you might see with a narcissist is, how come you did this, 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 and this? And then you write back and you're defending yourself. That's not true. I'm here with my sister and whatever it is. And then you're trying to get them to respond back to you. Nothing. And that they're reading your emails or text messages, and they're right there, but then they don't respond because they're trying to make you squirm. Things like that. silent treatment. Okay. To try to manipulate you, make you squirm, control you, all of those, make you think that you're crazy, all of that. That's silent treatment. The next thing that they will do is attack you. You're a cheater, you're this, you're that, which is, like out of nowhere. You're like, oh my God, how can that, why would you say that? And then when you try to defend yourself, then they play the victim. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you would do this to me. And I can't believe you would do this to me now. And this is a horrible time. And, it becomes all about them. They attack and then they play the victim. Again, it's a way to make themselves out to be the victim so that you never, ever can win. You can never win. They attack and then they reverse it so that they become the victim. And then finally, the last one is they use guilt trips. Oh, don't worry about me. I'll just sit over here and you just go on. I can take care of myself while you go have a life. I'm used to things not being fair. I'm used to taking care of everyone while no one takes care of me. Must be nice to have all of that for yourself. I've never had that, but okay, great. Like that whole guilt trip thing. That's very much a covert narcissist move as well. And so they guilt you into having to do things, or they'll send a text like, oh, that wasn't meant for you. Sorry. I was waiting to get my biopsy results, but I know you don't care. So I'll just handle it myself. I'm fine. That sort of thing. So guilt trips. Those are 6 of the signs that a narcissist is trying to break you. And as I said, with the gaslighting one, just that alone can cause so much long term damage to your psyche and even to you physically, and start to cause autoimmune issues with you, because into your gut health and to your overall health, because of how much damage it can cause. All right, the first thing that they do is word salad. And what is word salad? Well, it's kind of like what you think. It's like confusing you. It's like these words that are all mixed up all the time and trying to confuse you so that you kind of don't know what's going on. So here's an example of that. You think something is resolved. For example, out to lunch with somebody and they say, why did you go out to lunch with this person? I thought I could trust you. It seems like you're cheating on me. And you spend like an hour fighting about this thing, and I was texting you on the way there, and you know that, and you're like defending yourself the whole time, and you think that it's resolved. It's like this craziness because they bring something up as if it's reality, and it's never been reality to begin with. They're also saying 2 different things at the same time. That like they'll say, I'm trying very hard to make this work. And then at the same time, they'll say, I want a divorce, or I can't do this anymore. It's like they're all over the place all the time. Or they'll be asking for second chances multiple times. In the next breath, they'll be, get the hell out of here. I don't want you anymore. They're just constantly constant craziness with their word salad with that. So constantly trying to make you look like you're the one who's the problem, but yet they're all over the place with their word salad constantly. You're the one who keeps being the issue. It's your problem. You are the one who keeps making problems in the marriage or in the relationship, even though you're just over there trying to like survive in this world of craziness. All right. That's number 1. Number 2 is they seed people. They tell people that there's issues, and they start doing this long before you even realize that there's an issue in the relationship, or in business. They do this as well, by the way. This is what happened with me in my business relationship. Beware if you are a coworker, boss, whatever. I've seen this with other people as well. So what will happen is, long before you even realize what is going on, they will start dropping little things into conversations. Covert narcissists are the masters at this, by the way. And it will be a little something about somebody. Oh, it's kind of unfortunate that this person is this. Or they might kind of even couch it in terms of caring. I'm so concerned about how much this person, has going on in their home life, something like that, like as if they're caring about the person, but they're also sort of dropping in that this person is obviously very distracted at work. You see what I'm saying? Something like that, where the person might not be distracted at all, but they're kind of like seeding things. If it's a divorcing situation, they might be seeding something to a neighbor, like, oh, I'm just so concerned about Tim's drinking. He's drinking a lot more than he used to, or I think he might be depressed or something, and Tim has no drinking issues, but they'll just start seeding things like that. Even they do this even with marriage counselors, by the way, to make themselves look more like the victim or something like that. So that's number two. They start seeding their little flying monkeys or whatever to try to line up their armies. Number three is they can be extremely disagreeable. Like, for example, they'll just drag their feet on things. They're like passive aggressive, just not doing things that they say they're going to do, refuse to go along with certain plans, or agree that they're going to go along with certain plans and things like that, and then do it at the last second. And then say, I agreed. I said that I would do it or whatever. But then they don't do it until the last second. And then they make it look like, I said that I would do it. And then they make it look like you were the one who was the problem because, you're complaining the whole time. What are you talking about? Why are you complaining? I said that I would do it. And so then it makes you look like you were complaining over nothing, or just being somebody who just bitches and moans to everybody because, look, you did what they're complaining about. What are you talking about? So they foot drag or they criticize or whatever, but then to the rest of the world, it looks like, what are you talking about? So that's the next one. The next one is they just ignore or break promises or forget to do things or whatever. But then, you are the one who has to take the fall for these things. So this was especially the case for me, in a business situation or whatever, especially if they know that they can get away with this and have you look like the one who's going to be the one who takes the fall for it, and be the one who is the face of that situation. I've seen this so often in a business situation, where they can break promises, ignore promises, forget to do things. These are so much covert narcissist moves. Wherever there's that plausible deniability, they will definitely take advantage. The next one is what we call toxic amnesia, where they don't remember faults of their own, but they highlight your faults. So, they make sure that they are always the perfect one, but you are the one who is the bad one in the relationship. They're constantly judging you. They're constantly remembering all the things that you did wrong in the relationship, but they never remember any of the things that they did wrong in the relationship. And I'd love to know so far which ones of these you guys have seen and which ones you guys have had to live with so far. If you guys have seen any others, let me know in the comments. And if you've seen any of these, give me a totally in the comments, and I'd love to get some feedback from you guys and which ones you've seen so far too. Number 6 is they file false pleadings over and over again. And they make it seem like where there's smoke, there's fire. That is just so not true when it comes to narcissists. They will file false pleadings, make it seem like, oh my God, there definitely must be something going on with this person. Conversely, the other thing that they do is they will just not respond to pleadings a lot of times, or they'll file just partial responses and things like that. It's so frustrating as an attorney, that's for sure. Just so annoying. And it's expensive as well. So expensive, which is why I have my Slay program out there, by the way. And if you want to just get started with something free, just go to winmynegotiation.com and you can get my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet. It's a free ebook. It's 15 pages, which will get you started. I mean, actually, many people have actually won their entire negotiations just on that. So if you want to get something that will totally get you started, just get my free ebook and get started with that. It will totally help you so much. Literally, I think close to 100,000 people have downloaded that and got started with that. So totally free. It's an ebook, my gift to you. So just get started with that. And also join my free private Facebook group, because that will help you tremendously as well. Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung. That is a huge support group, which will help you quite a bit also. And the last one is the best one, best, worst, however you want to look at it, is that they bait you and then they use your reaction against you. I mean, can I get a totally on that? Oh my gosh. Bait you. I call it reactive abuse. Bait you and use your reaction against you, right? So any assertiveness that you show at all, anything, if you object, if you are angry, if you're upset at all, if you show any outrage, if you are anything at all, then that is totally turned around, used against you, and you're labeled as hurt, aggressive, you're aggressive, and then you are cast as the abuser. You're cast as the one who is the problem. And especially if they can somehow use it against you in court, they definitely will. So be very, very careful about that. Remember that anything that you put in writing is a potential trial exhibit. Make sure that you're super careful about that in texts, emails, on social media. Anything you put your hand to is a potential trial exhibit. So be super careful about that. All right. We are going to guide you through the minefields, guide you through the minefields of the tactics that narcissists use to break you. All right. And, I know that you are feeling maybe broken down. You're maybe feeling disempowered. They want you to feel destabilized. They use these tactics to try to control you. And when you go to negotiate with them or try to communicate with them, which is where I come in, I am a negotiations expert. I'm an attorney. I've helped people in many, many different arenas. And if you don't have my brand new book, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win, definitely go and grab that. But, I want to help you transform. In this, they launch psychological warfare on you, right? So they're like these shadowy gladiators. They come on charming. They start off charming. And they try to break your spirit. And one of the weapons that they use is gaslighting. All of them use gaslighting. Even covert narcissists, especially covert narcissists. And how that will show up is in many different arenas. In my book, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win, I actually talked about so many different forms of gaslighting. When I went to go start writing the chapter, I thought, wow, there are so many different forms of gaslighting that I could actually write an entire book just on gaslighting. I didn't even realize as I started writing about it, how many different forms of gaslighting there are until I started writing about it. And what gaslighting is basically a way to make you think that you are crazy. It's a way to make you think that your reality is not your reality. What you're seeing is not what you're seeing. What you're hearing is not what you're hearing. What you are feeling is not what you're feeling in any different scenario, whatever it is. So, it might be, we had that conversation, don't you remember? And you're like, we never had that conversation. Or it might be you're too sensitive, so what you're feeling is not what you're feeling. It might be any way to distort your perception so that you're doubting the ground upon which you stand or the feelings that you're feeling in so that you start to literally doubt yourself. Your brain is foggy and you really don't feel like yourself anymore. And it's vile and it's venomous. And it's a way to take control of you. Take control of you because that's what they want to do. Narcissists are people who don't feel good about themselves. Because they don't feel good about themselves, they want to take control of others through these methods. They are very fear-based individuals. They're very insecure individuals. And so they use this method. And it can be in the form of passive aggression, or it can be in the form of withholding. It can be in the form of you're looking at a text message that looks like somebody is being flirtatious. You're reading too much into this. So, it's anything that makes you look like you are doubting your reality. And that's what gaslighting is. The next form of psychological warfare tactic a narcissist uses to break you is triangulation, where they basically play puppeteer or marionette. They're taking a marionette and they manipulate relationships to create this web or line up armies to isolate you, make you feel bullied, make you feel like you are the only one who feels a certain way. And, as a child, I was bullied. And, so this is something that is very triggering for me, that's for sure. And it's, it's to make you feel like you're the only one who thinks this, or everyone's going to believe their lies. And it's, to make you feel like you might as well give up because, what are you going to do? You're never going to win. The cards are stacked against you. So what are you going to do? It's extremely deflating. It's defeating. It's a smear campaign. And you definitely see this in the discard phase. But, many times with covert narcissists, they start seeding this triangulation even long before you even know that it's happening. I mean, they might start saying, oh, I'm so concerned about Johnny, concerned about his drinking, just worried about him, just worried, just so concerned. And they put it in terms of care or concern so that people think that they're such a good person. They're really manipulating. They're really actually smearing. So that's, a way that they will start triangulating. And another form of tactic that a narcissist will use to break you is projection. They project and cast their own flaws onto you or others in a twisted sort of mirror game to take whatever is going on with them and project it and put it onto others. So because they don't want it to reflect back onto them what's going on with them. So that's another one. And then there's always this love bombing and devaluation cycle as well. Love bombing, devaluation, love bomb, devaluation, which happens throughout the cycle of a relationship until you get down into the discard. It's the cruel sort of hit of dopamine, and then back into devaluation, and then you're craving that hit of dopamine, which is a very, very powerful craving, that addiction hit that you are looking for, showering you with affection and casting you out down with scorn. So which of these have you guys faced? I would love to know. Let me know in the comments. Tell me your tale. Tell me your battles in the comments. Which story could be your beacon of hope for others? Tell us in the comments below. And picture, this, a client during negotiations has ruthlessly been gaslighted, facts twisted until they're doubting their own sanity, they're doubting their own reality. And then I step in, not just as their lawyer, but trying to help them with their reality, reminding them of what their reality actually is. We strategize, we document, we ground them in their truth, in their reality, and we triumph. Have you ever felt that grounding of reality shake beneath you, and then you needed to find your footing again? Has that ever happened to you? Your insights are so invaluable. Share them below. Share them below. Triangulation can be so disarming. And if you need an ally, you need that ally, and but you're suddenly feeling like you're alone. Remember that knowledge lies in power, in having that. You need to have that power behind you, right? So having that battle plan is so important. That's why I wrote my book, Slay the Bully: How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. That's a battle plan for you. Tactics: spot them, stop, stand strong against these assaults. Facing smear campaigns can feel like you are stuck in quicksand, right? So you need to have the right words. You need to have a lifeline. And I've curated potent phrases for you to disarm any narcissist, leaving them speechless. So if you want to know what they are, get my free phrases for disarming narcissists. You can get them by clicking the link on disarming narcissists. Just go to disarmthenarc.com and get them. They're totally free. And that way, if you're ever at a loss for words, you'll have them. And I would love to know which is your favorite, right? Share your favorite phrase with us in the comments. Your wisdom is a torch for so many who are stuck in the dark. Okay, so let's talk about Operation Triangulation. If you have dealt with a narcissist in any way, shape, or form, then you have dealt with triangulation. Another word for it is flying monkeys. And if you want to know more about the word flying monkeys and all of that, go check out my video on flying monkeys. So this is a tactic that narcissists use. So remember, they need an endless amount of supply. They are supply whores. They must have it. They must have it in any way, shape, or form that they can possibly get it. Anything that they can have to feed that ego. It's like oxygen, food. It's their lifeblood. It's like what they breathe in. They must have, and they literally will take it from everywhere they can get it. So one of the ways that they can get it, and it actually kind of works out pretty well for them, because when they triangulate, they're getting the attention from the flying monkey or that person that they're triangulating with. And it has the benefit, the added benefit, the little bonus sugar cherry on top of making you miserable. So they get both. So it's like so beautiful for them. They actually figured out a way to not only get supply out of you, but they can get it out of multiple places at once. Isn't that fantastic? So they get to have this other person adulate them and think that they're so wonderful. And you are over there going, what are you doing with this person? Who are you talking to? What are you saying? Or they come back and they say, I spoke with Mary over there. Mary agrees with me that you're crazy, or that you don't appreciate me, or that you treat me badly, or how wrong it is that you don't believe everything that I say. And whether Mary said that or not doesn't even matter, because it serves the purpose that they want to serve, which is, making you miserable. So that's what they do. They line up their flying monkeys. It's a reference to the Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz, where she had those flying monkeys like next to her, and they would just fly around and report back to the Wicked Witch and let the Wicked Witch know what was going on. Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion, they're just walking along the yellow brick road, all, innocent and happy. And there's the flying monkeys like coming along to see what's going on and reporting back, just like the little minions. And that's what happens with narcissists as well. They have their little minions that are looking to see what's going on social media. And then they would go running back, scurrying back, and they tell the narcissist what's going on. Oh my goodness, they posted this, or they went there, or I saw them say this. And let's all scurry and figure out what they're talking about. And you're over there feeling left out, feeling isolated, paranoid, wondering what's going on. Then you go ask the narcissist about it. And they love that, because it's working then. Now you're worried. Now you're upset. They know that they got you. So, you want to know what I was talking about with Mary over there? Well, I'm not going to tell you. Or Mary said this, or Mary said that. And now you're bothered, because they want you to feel bothered. They want you to feel like you're left out in the cold, like you're isolated. And a lot of the times they use their special phrases, like everybody else thinks this and no one else thinks that. If you want to know more about the narcissist's favorite phrases, check out my video on that topic. But the whole point of it is to try to make you feel bad. And if you are so sick of those flying monkeys, say banish flying monkeys in the comments below. Just say banish flying monkeys, because they really do need to be banished. I know when I was dealing with a couple of narcissists in my life, I had that situation, and, as long as you're still in the narcissist space, you're giving them opportunities to use their operation triangulation to try to get at you. And, the best thing that you can do, honestly, is just not react at all. Just act like you don't really care who they're talking to. You don't really care what they're saying. Don't even ask them about it. Don't even acknowledge that they had a conversation with that person. Because as soon as you do that, you're giving them narcissistic supply. You're giving into that. And it's funny because I kind of knew that before I even knew these terms. I had never heard of the term triangulation. I had never heard of flying monkeys. And to me, narcissists were like people who were going around bragging about themselves all the time. I honestly didn't really even know what a narcissist was. I didn't know anything about covert narcissists until somebody said the word to me. And that's when I started to figure it out. And by the way, Operation Triangulation is a favorite of the coverts. They love it, love it. So if you're dealing with a covert narcissist, you're definitely dealing with triangulation. But all narcissists like to use triangulation. It's one of their little favorite go-to bag of tricks. And so if you know that you're with somebody, whether it's in a business setting or a personal setting, and they're trying to make you jealous, or they're trying to use other people to somehow evoke a response from you, then you're probably with a narcissist, and it's probably time to head out the door and figure out a way to get out of this relationship. So, if you were getting ready to negotiate with a narcissist, especially, any kind of difficult person, whether it's a narcissist or not, by the way, it doesn't even matter if they've actually been labeled as a narcissist. It could just be a jackass, but if they're extremely difficult to deal with, then, it's going to be the same, right? All right, let's talk about the 5 ways that narcissists sneakily they chip away. At you. And sometimes it's like you're that frog in that boiling water. Have you ever heard about that analogy? The frogs that are sitting in the water and they don't even realize like the water's cold and it's slowly getting warm, slowly, slowly, slowly. And they don't even realize that they've been boiled. That's what happens sometimes with narcissists. Like all of a sudden you've been boiled because they've just kind of sneakily broken you down, and it just happens over time and you don't even realize what's been happening, and you're just like in it. They just do this thing to you. And so I just want to reveal some of the ways that they sneakily break you down, and you're going to want to watch all the way to the end because I'm going to give you 5 ways that they do this. It's like so secretive, it's so stealth, it's so insidious, and you don't even realize it's happening until it's happening. And I see it all the time in negotiations. And so when you're negotiating with them, when you're communicating with them, you want to know, you're going to want to spot those signs. All right. Number 1 is that you'll be communicating with them, you'll be fighting with them, and after you're fighting with them, you bring up something that they clearly did wrong. Clearly, they did wrong. Somehow they turn it around that it was your fault. Like, for example, that they didn't do something that they were supposed to do. Very clearly, they didn't do something that they were supposed to do. And you lay out the facts, and let's say they didn't show up for something that they were supposed to show up for. Why didn't they show up for it? Why weren't they there? What happened to them? And on and on. You go through the plan or whatever it is, and somehow they stealthily turn that around to it's your fault, and you have created this problem, making them feel terrible and making them feel like a piece of crap, and you're creating an issue in the relationship, and you're angry all the time, and that's why they don't do what they're supposed to, because it's your anger. And then, and you're like, I was only angry after you didn't show up. Oh, no, no, that's been going on for months before. And, somehow it's all your fault. Now you're defending yourself against something, and it's all about you and no longer about the one thing that they didn't do. It all gets muddied up, and it's no longer about the one thing that they didn't do that they should be held accountable for. It's all about them. They make so much more noise around you and your behavior so that they no longer have to be held accountable for their behavior. And so that sneakily breaks you down. And now suddenly you're groveling at them and you're begging them to be in the relationship instead of the other way around. So that's number one. Number two is they will refuse to communicate while discussing an issue. They'll say, you're interrupting, that, here you're trying to discuss something, and then it becomes about how you brought it up, or the fact that you're too loud, your tone. It can't be about what it is that you want to actually discuss. You can never get back to the issue. It's this circular conversation. It becomes this word salad of things, and you're trying to get back to the issue at hand, and you can never seem to get back to the issue because they're saying things like, you interrupted me. And then, the next one is actually kind of similar, because they'll say, like, the timing was off. Why are you bringing that up now? Or they'll be like, what are you wearing right now? And is that what you wore when you were out today? And you're still trying to bring up this particular issue, and it's all about other things then. And you can never seem to get to the issue of what it is that you want to talk about. And why are you bringing that up when you know that I have a headache? And what is it that you're wearing right now? And why are you yelling? And you literally just interrupted me. And you know that the neighbors can hear you, and you can seriously never get to what it is that you want to talk about. And they're breaking you down, and they're breaking you down. And oh, and that reminds me, and you never addressed this issue, and now you're off talking about that, and now you're on some other tangent about something else, and you're never getting back to the issue that you want to talk about ever. And that's a whole form of gaslighting, by the way. And you should definitely check out my video on gaslighting phrases that narcissists use, because there's a whole other thing on that for sure. And if you are so ready to be free of this, put "I'm ready" in the chat right now. Just put "I'm ready" below in the comments, because I'm sure you are so ready to be free, right? Okay. And number four is even similar. It's like, they'll say you raised your voice when you didn't raise your voice, right? And now all of a sudden you're like, what? I didn't raise my voice. Or they will raise their voice. They'll start raising their voice. They'll start getting angry. They'll start making a show. They'll start getting dramatic. They'll start shutting you down. They'll just walk away. They'll just say, this conversation is done, so they'll just be ghosting you. They'll just decide they're done and stonewall you so that you can't have any more of a conversation with them. And that will also break you down as well. And number five is they employ tactics to isolate you. So they'll say things like everyone else, or no one else, or I'm the only one who loves you, or I'm the only one who can stand you, or everyone else thinks this, or no one else thinks that. And so they make you believe that you are crazy in that way. Or they'll line up their minions, sometimes called flying monkeys, to make you think that they've got this army of people on their side who are believing their lies against you. And so it's another way of isolating you, another way of making you feel like you shouldn't stand up for yourself. And that's another way of breaking you down. So, when a narcissist is trying to get you back, it could be a number of different scenarios. I mean, it could be that they're just trying to get you back and, like, just trying to get your attention back. It could be just get you back on track. It could be that you're like actually broken up and they're trying to get you back, like actually get you back. I mean, so it could be a number of different ways, or they think that you're slipping away. They're just trying to get your focus back on them. So, I mean, get you back is sort of a number of different ways, but it could be any sort of thing. But the idea is that they're afraid that they're losing you, or maybe they have lost you. The whole idea is that they're not really focusing on you. So it could be any number of things that they're thinking of, but the whole idea is they're seeing their supply source slipping away. And that's the thing that you really need to be thinking about. It's not so much that they are worried about you as they are about their supply source going out the door. And by the way, I'm Rebecca Zung. I am an attorney. I'm a narcissist negotiation expert. The reason why I focus on this stuff is because when you are in negotiations with them, it's so important to understand how they're thinking, because you got to build your strategy, you got to build your all of your tactics around how they're thinking, or you're totally going to be sunk. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, you're definitely going to want to do that. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, because I give you real tips and resources and tactics so that you can shift from being on the constant feeling of being on the defensive to being on the offensive for a change. What happens is when you are on the outs or whatever, and they're trying to get you back, they'll say whatever they need to preserve that supply source. So they just go into desperation mode. They might go into their faux apology. I call it a faux apology because it's totally fake. I have a whole video, by the way, on what does a narcissist really mean when they say they're sorry. And you can check that out. So they may say sorry, but do they really mean they're sorry? I don't think so. And if they do say sorry, it's only because they're trying to say whatever they need to get you back into being their source of supply. So they may even say, I'll do anything. I'll do whatever you want. They may even say, I love you, or we're meant to be. No one loves you like I do, or that we're supposed to be together, or we're perfect for each other. And they'll say things that they know are the things that you love to hear a lot of the times, because remember, they're very good at reading people. So remember that this is the person that was able to love bomb their way into your life in the first place. And I don't mean love bombing just in a romantic sense, because remember, this is a person who was able to work their wiles into whatever kind of relationship you've got. They know they were able to charm their way into that situation, whatever it was, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship. I mean, they've been able to charm their way into that situation. So they'll say whatever they need to say to get you back on track. So I'll change, or it'll never happen again, or whatever they'll need to say. So let's just focus on the future. Let's just move on. That's one of their favorite things to do, is future fake. So they don't want to focus on the past. They hate doing that. The thing that they love to do the most is just move on to the next thing. Let's just focus on the future. It'll all be different. You'll see going forward, it'll all be different. A lot of times, what they'll do to get you back is grand gestures and, kind of love bomb you all over again, too. So you'll see this whole grand gesture thing again, going back to whatever it is that they did in the first place to get you. And then they may try to also guilt you into it. How could you leave me at a time like this? You know that I'm sick, or you know that I'm going through a lot right now, or I'm dealing with so much, or how could you leave me when you're the only person I have, or something like that. And now you're a horrible person if you leave them at that moment. And so how dare you try to have your own life, or how dare you try to walk away because you're the only one who they have. You're the only one that they rely on, or something like that. And now you have to be with them. There's like that micro manipulation thing that they'll do sometimes too, that little DM in your inbox. Oh, I got the word from the doctor. Oh, sorry, that wasn't meant for you. And then they'll take it out of your inbox. So that was meant for someone else. A little something to sort of mess with your brain to try to get you back as well, or try to get your attention. These are the kinds of things that they will do to try to get you back, to try to get your attention. And it all is designed just because they don't want to see that source of supply. The other thing that you might see them do sometimes is try to make you jealous. Well, I've got another source of supply lined up. I'm spending time with someone else, or I don't need you anyway, or I'm moving out, something like that, to maybe try to get you to be interested, or get the hairs on the back of your neck peaked or something like that. But most of the time, it's more of the future fake, the faux apology, those kinds of things.
So let's talk about, why does a narcissist need to destroy you to leave you? Or even if you're leaving them. Anything that's regarding the discard phase of a narcissist means that they're going to try to bring you down, destroy you, out to get you, no matter what. And you think, why? Why does this have to be destroying? Why can't we just come to a nice, reasonable conclusion? Well, the answer is, as it always is when it comes to narcissists, it goes back to that whole concept of narcissistic supply. Supply is anything that feeds their ego. They have no sense of inner self. That is very, very fragile. They're the most insecure people on the planet. And so they have to get all their value from the outside, and they protect it no matter what. It's really a survival instinct. It's like, if you live, then I can't. If you survive, then that means I don't. It really, to them, is like a war, and you're the enemy. I've had to deal with a couple of narcissists myself in my own life, and one of them was a covert narcissist, or actually they were both covert narcissists, but in one of them, I had a situation where I was like, I'm hoping to really have a peaceful resolution to the end of this relationship. It was a situation where it wasn't working for me in a kind of a business setting, and I wanted to have a peaceful resolution, and this other person just couldn't do that. They couldn't do that. And why can't they do that? Because they just feel like if you are happy in your new life or anything like that, then, that's the end of the world for them. So what happens is, in the discard phase of a relationship, and if you want to know more about the discard phase of a narcissistic relationship, check out my video on narcissistic discarding and what happens there at the end of the relationship. But in that phase, that's when you start to see the birth of the smear campaign. And that's when they start lining up their flying monkeys, start triangulating. And the discard phase and that smear campaign can happen even long before you think that it's actually the end of the relationship. They're just making sure that if anything ever happens, that, you know, they're going to be the ones that have the upper hand. So, you know, when it comes time for that to happen, that's when you'll start to see them talking to other people. They might start slipping in little things about, this person is difficult, or, that they're a victim of you in some way. They haven't been treated well by you in some way. I was actually just having a conversation with somebody yesterday who I'm going to be interviewing coming up for my podcast and for this show. And he was talking about how crazy it is that, it's normally the empath, and you're normally the one who's doing everything for the relationship. You're carrying the relationship. You're basically, 90% of the work and all of that, no matter whether it's a personal relationship or a business relationship, it's never equitable. You're always the one doing most of everything and hoping that the other person will eventually appreciate you, will eventually realize how much you're doing and how much you're putting into it. And you're constantly walking on eggshells, and you're constantly being gaslit, and passive aggressive techniques being thrown at you, and your brain is like scrambled eggs or something. And yet then they turn around and start going to third parties and saying how awful you are and how much you've taken advantage of them, and basically all the things that they're doing to you, they go and tell everybody that you're doing to them. And a lot of times, especially if they're a covert narcissist, they're really good at playing the victim, and everybody thinks they're so kind and generous and nice because that's how they are to every single person in the world other than the people that are closest to them. And so it's really, really surprising for those of us who are empaths that this is what's going on. And you're always kind of like a step behind because you don't realize that this is going on. So what happens in a litigation setting is, you empath are over here going, well, let me try to figure out a way to nicely come to a resolution of this case or of this relationship in some way. Let me figure out what we can do. And this is what happens with a lot of us. I hear a lot of you saying to me, I just want this, or I'll just take this small amount. I don't want everything. I'm not going for this part. I don't care about the money. I just want my kids. Or I don't care about all of this these other assets. All I want is this, or whatever. And by doing that, what you're just making smaller what it is that you're going to tell them that you want, and whatever that is, they're going to chip away at that, even if it's the smallest little thing, because it's not about that settlement for them. What it's about for them is making you miserable, continuing to control you, continuing to manipulate you, continuing to intimidate you. All of those things give them narcissistic supply. And that's why when you're dealing with them in a negotiation setting, in a case, whether it's in a business litigation or a divorce litigation or probate litigation or whatever kind of case you're dealing with, sometimes it goes on for years. I have a private Facebook group. It's called Narcissist Negotiators with Rebecca Zung, which you are very welcome to join. And we'll make sure that we drop a link to that as well. I did a survey in that group, and it was overwhelming, the response that, I think over 86% of you responded that your cases lasted at least 18 months. Many of you, I think it was 40-something%, said that the cases lasted more than 3 years. And a huge percentage of you said that the cases were very, very expensive. You know, many times over $100,000 in fees. So, you know, for those of you out there who are saying, all I need is a good lawyer, that is not the case. Because yes, you do need a good lawyer, but you also need to understand the mind of a narcissist. And that is that they're out to destroy you because they want to get you before you get them. They want to make sure that they're right on top of the fact that you're the one that looks bad and they're the one that looks good, because they need to preserve their face. They need to preserve their standing in the community, or how they look, their reputation, all of that. And so in order for them, in their minds, to preserve all of that, it can't be equal walking away. You can't just both look good walking away. You have to look bad. You have to look like the loser to them. That's the only way they feel that they can survive, that they can preserve that narcissistic supply that they so desperately need. And if you are so ready to be free of this crazy toxic stew that narcissists are doing to you, and especially trying to destroy you, I want to see a "this ends now" in the comments. Okay, and so the last reason why narcissists feel like they have to destroy you is because, again, it goes back to this narcissistic supply idea, and that is that they feel like if you're not going to be supplied to them, then they don't want you to be supplied to anyone. And so, you know, it's you got to go down. You've got to go down in every single way for every single reason. And so that's why when you are negotiating with a narcissist, it's really important to have incredible strategy, super strong leverage, you know, anticipate what the narcissist is going to do and focus on you and your case.